Hi, everyone. So we're back for the real estate tokenization and how NFTs can play a part into that. I'm excited to be with an esteemed panel, Tory Ricalis, who is a more on the traditional real estate development side with a real estate development firm in Canada, and Wong also has a significant exposure to NFTs, and I'll share that with you in a sec. And Wong, who is the founder of Labs, which is more on the more focused purely on the real estate tokenization side of the market. Yuen is also, I'm not sure if you can hear us at the moment, which is funny. So I might just be chatting with Tory if he can't. So Tory, you want to share a bit about your background, how you got into real estate development, NFTs, and yeah, share your story.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mike, GDA Capital, as well as Elydium. Appreciate the opportunity to speak at NFT Summit today. So I've been involved in real estate development for approximately 13 years. Got my start, luckily, through my family, which I'm very thankful for. And then I've developed quite the career in development, in real estate development within Toronto, Canada, which is the #1 place for high-rise construction and has been for about 12 years, according to the Crane Index. We are #1 in the world. So right now I manage approximately $350 million worth of high-rise within Toronto, and very bullish on crypto, NFTs, and the blockchain technology. I mean, it's fantastic. I've been involved in NFTs. Started with CryptoKitties back in late 2017, early 2018, and then slowly made my way into Decentraland. And now, obviously, NBA Top Shot, it's come to the forefront. I'm quite invested in that, as well as Ecomi and the Vive app, which has premium digital NFTs and licensing agreements. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of my experience in NFTs and real estate.
Tory, Toronto is still #1. It's not Dubai or Hong Kong, eh?
It is. We're teetering right now, Mike. I'll be honest with you. We absolutely are teetering right now. Obviously due to the pandemic and supply chain issues, we have material costs going through the roof. Development costs, or development charges, are increasing in the city of Toronto yearly by 50%. So developers are less, they're a little less likely to get solely involved in the Toronto market right now, and they may be looking elsewhere just due to costs and, as I said, land costs in general in Toronto. It's crazy. So we're navigating difficult times, obviously. As I said, with pandemic, and it's really increased the price of real estate outside of Toronto proper and outside of major cities throughout the world. We're seeing a lot more migration to suburban areas and less populated areas, due to the ability of people, they're able to work from home now. And so we've seen a big transition out of the downtown cores into suburban areas, lesser populated areas. And I mean, in the GTA, we've seen the price of homes increase probably around 50 to 60% in the last 2 years alone. So just to kind of briefly touch on where tokenization and NFTs are able to help in the real estate market, I would say right now, through the tokenization of real estate, we're opening up a completely different class of investor. We are able to essentially, for $100 for an NFT, anyone can get involved in real estate through tokenization now, which is a huge, huge step in the right direction. As we've discussed previously, it's definitely a class where people have been priced out, and it's very difficult for anyone to get involved. So, for you to be able to purchase a fragmented or a fractionalized piece of real estate and feel that you're contributing to the economy and the real estate, kind of environment there, I think this is absolutely the future.
Indeed, and Yuen. So Tory mentioned a bit about the tokenization of real estate to provide the ability to participate in these asset classes, like Toronto real estate, for example, that goes up 50% per year, or every 2 years, as Tory was saying. But that most investors are priced out of the market due to the value of each unit of asset. You're focused on providing that service or that platform to do that. I think would also be great for you to share your background, how you got into the ecosystem, and what you're doing with labs. You're on mute. You're on mute, Yuen.
It looks like Yuen's having some technical difficulties. So Mike, I don't know if you just want to keep the conversation going, but
yeah. So Tory, we started. So the value of real estate is going up. I wouldn't say exponentially, but significantly. And to participate in, using Toronto as an example, Toronto real estate is, a minimum check size that prices most investors out of the market, and opening that up to $100 checks or $50 checks is definitely a massive value proposition. So I wonder why you would say that hasn't happened yet, and what the hurdles and roadblocks are to bring this to mainstream adoption.
So that's a great question and a great point, Mike. So real estate's and development is a very old school. It's an old school industry. There's a lot of old stakeholders that don't allow new technology, new people to get involved, specifically in larger cities such as Toronto, New York, London. In regards to that, so in regards to the tokenization, sorry, I'm just gonna cut off there because I just got a question asked from the audience there. So in regards to tokenization, essentially what they're able to do is you're able to open up your asset, your real estate development asset, and you're able to create some liquidity by creating fractionalized tokens or shares, if you would like to say. And basically what that allows developers and investors to do is get involved in the market. And in terms of a developer, as opposed to me going to a large bank or a large financial institution and getting a loan from a bank, now what I'm able to do is I'm able to open up essentially this class of token, and I'm able to raise capital and liquidity from a project they may already have or a project I'm going to purchase. So that it's essentially like a crowdfunding aspect. So sorry, I just wanted to touch on that because I saw Connor had mentioned or had asked that question. And then Mike, sorry, to get back on kind of what you were saying in regards to why it hasn't happened in real estate as of yet and what hurdles we have to overcome. As I said, so there's a lot of, for example, in Toronto, you'll have 6 major people that own essentially all of downtown Toronto, in terms of development, whatnot. So for them to kind of give up their piece of the market to a newer technology or a newer firm, it's very difficult to do so. I'm hoping, obviously, with the publicity that NFTs and tokenization are bringing to the masses right now, I'm hoping that it's the real estate developers of the old school are realizing that, hey, we need to jump on this technology in order to stay relevant. And I believe the most important part of moving forward in terms of real estate development and raising capital for large developments is through this avenue, through NFTs and tokenizations. So, I mean, as we begin and as it comes to the forefront more and more, I believe we are applying pressure on the older heads in the industry to kind of step forward and maybe allow a new generation in.
Yeah, so Tory, on that, you definitely represent like the younger, more innovative real estate development perspective, where you are, working with the traditional market and also seeing and participating in the innovation in the disruptive market. So I think definitely an interesting place to be. So I think that if we could kind of break, because tokenizing real estate is one thing, and part of that tokenization can be with NFTs.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then part of NFT participation in the real estate market is also things like the metaverse and Earth 2, which you actually exposed me to. I think it would be interesting for you to share your perspective on kind of define both of those, and share some context into how NFTs as well as tokenization are like the opportunities that you're seeing.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start with NFTs first and foremost. As Mike had touched on, obviously metaverse digital real estate right now is a massive opportunity. And this is, essentially being allowed through the blockchain technology and non-fungible tokens, NFTs, where you're able to go in and, for example, Decentraland, at one point you were able to go in, buy land. That's an NFT non-fungible token. You would have that. And then, for example, there's Sandbox right now. There's Earth 2, which essentially allows you to buy an NFT non-fungible token, and it depicts essentially, this is my area on this metaverse map. This is who I am. And, I'm able to sell it. I'm able to resell it using blockchain technology, obviously. And so in terms of the opportunity for digital real estate through NFTs, Mike, it's absolutely massive. Are real estate NFTs similar to real estate REITs? No, I would disagree with that. But in terms of the digital aspects of the NFTs and the digital aspect of real estate, I think this is where NFTs are really show their value and their use of technology through the metaverse and digital assets in real estate. In regards to traditional real estate and how you are able to tokenize an asset, for example, if I wanted to hypothetically, I owned a hotel with 100 rooms. I could hypothetically sell each room as a token, a predetermined price token, and sell that off. That token would be worth one room in that hotel or whatever it may be, and similar situations like that. I could also, for example, a larger commercial space. You got 100,000 square feet. You would be able to break up something per square foot basis and sell it, as a token that way.
And Yuen, can you hear us? Tory, back to you. So we've spoken about two segments here, NFTs and the tokenization of real estate. We spoke a bit about regulations and how there's a hurdle there for mass adoption. I wonder your thoughts on which you think will be adopted faster, real estate with NFTs, like in the metaverse, or the tokenization of real estate, and why do you think that the innovation is going to be in one or the other sooner?
So we'll touch base on, I know you're very bullish on the metaverses as well, and my stance on them as well. So basically, I believe truly that the NFTs, we're seeing it right now, as a viable investment tool or a viable tool to use to purchase metaverse digital assets, something of that nature. So we're already seeing that, and I think you're seeing there's going to be less regulatory hoops to jump through, so to speak, in regards to this aspect, because it is digitized as opposed to a real world asset, with deeds, ownership, title, mortgages, and whatnot. So I truly believe that NFTs will and already have kind of made their way into the forefront of investing in real estate.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think just because NFTs are not quite different model in terms of to traditional real estate, whereas the tokenization of real estate is a little bit similar. But because if you start to create currencies with real estate, it competes with U.S. dollar, competes with the Fed, the banks. I think they're going to be slower to allow that change and for that to be mass market. There's a couple questions from the audience, but I'd love to hear your perspective on if you're buying a traditional piece of land, you're buying a building, you're renovating the building, you're generating cash flows through it being either residential or commercial. It's reasonable to assume that those like an NFT asset, whether it's on Earth 2 or whether it's on in Decentraland or Somnium Space or any of the other metaverses that you have exposure in. How do you think about the value?
Sorry, Mike, you cut out there briefly just for the last 30 seconds. My apologies. I didn't catch the question.
Yeah, no worries. Of NFT real estate, like if you're buying land in Earth 2 or Decentraland, because in the traditional world you can consider comparables, and you kind of can in the NFT world as well. You can consider cash flows, and you can guess in the metaverse. But I wonder your thoughts on how you would think about valuation if you were to just think out loud.
Okay, so you touched on Earth 2. So Earth 2, I would say, is a little bit different in that aspect. Earth 2 is essentially a one versus one grid of the Earth. So in that aspect, I truly believe Earth 2. Where real estate is hot in the real world, it's hot in Earth 2 essentially. In regards to Decentraland, obviously, completely different metaverse, a lot of different aspects involved in Decentraland. Those sort of metaverses, it's almost like, I don't want to use the word crapshoot, but it's, let me plant seeds in Decentraland, let me plant seeds in Sandbox, let me plant seeds here and there. And it's not much different than traditional real estate. Back in the day, you're looking, okay, Toronto proper or big city proper, and you're looking at where the value is and where potential developments are going to occur, and, where planning is going and all that. So that's kind of how I look at it. I use a real world real estate kind of know-how and investing aspect, and I transfer that to the metaverse. But in the end of the day, on Decentraland, on Sandbox or whatever it may be, it is a little difficult to evaluate value and potential value.
Indeed, I think a lot of it's speculative, and I'm excited about real world cash flow producing businesses, like, for example, what Tory did in Vegas City with the festival land, NFT sales. Tory back?
Yeah, Mike, can you hear me? Mike. Connor.
Hey, Tory. I think we are having some difficulties here with the Wi-Fi for Michael. So I'll just kind of finish off the question, or I'll finish off the panel with you here. I think it's good if we just kind of get some questions from the audience. So I'm just looking now. If anyone has any questions in the audience, feel free to ask. If you have any questions at all to do with real estate and how projects are tokenizing them, please let us know. Also, I saw there was a question here. Is it already possible to buy traditional, non-digital real estate NFTs? And if so, what platform? Tory, do you know of any platforms currently doing this?
That is a very good question. In regards to traditional real estate NFTs, I don't want to touch on that right now because it's still very, Mike and I just briefly touched on it. Still a lot of regulatory issues and legalities involved in it. So for the time being, I don't want to speak on that aspect of it, Connor, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it makes sense. Too bad that Yuen wasn't able to join us because Yuan's doing actually a lot of projects using the engine blockchain, and they're doing a lot of luxury real estate and doing timeshares out in Asia, I'm pretty sure. So that's unfortunate. But sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, and you're absolutely right. I know Labs, they've done a tremendous job, kind of being a whole full-fledged real estate kind of investment firm, blockchain security, exchange, the whole 9 yards. So it's too bad that Yuen wasn't here to touch on that because that's his line of expertise. It's unfortunate, but regardless, I still think it was a valuable discussion. And Mike, you're back.
Someone for me or for you? From the chat just said something very interesting. Can you start implementing this in your own city? Where to start? I think a lot of people in their cities want this to want to make real estate more available to have as an investment platform. For other developers, Tory, that might be interested in doing this, where do you think that they can start, or how can kind of communities look to kickstart this process?
So in regards to the tokenization of real estate or, the NFT aspect, I mean, there's a lot of good companies. Labs, for example, would be a great company to discuss this with, to reach out to and kind of see how they would be able to create a token for a specific project. So I would recommend reaching out to Wong at Labs, first and foremost, to kind of get started in that aspect. Obviously, there is a lot of people in the market right now trying to develop this. I'd be weary and leery as to who you discuss, sort of these things with. But for the most part, if you guys are interested, shoot me a message. You can follow me on Twitter, and I would be able to have a discussion with you offline, kind of where to start. Potential.
So Tory, we've got lots of questions for you, but we're just about out of time. But one more quick question: if you had 2 sentences to answer, we've talked about a future where all assets are going to be on the blockchain, not in this panel, but in general, where someone can buy a $10 share in the Empire State Building and trade it for $10 of Marina Bay Sands with a liquid market, and basically all real estate in the world being interoperable. I wonder your thoughts on how long is tokenizing real estate going to take to be adopted by the masses for all assets to be on the blockchain?
I personally, Mike, I see it in the next 5 to 10 years. There is a lot of obviously movement in the space right now. You're obviously going to have a lot of pushback from traditional real estate agents, traditional real estate companies, lawyers and whatnot, because what this is going to allow us to do, if we move everything to the blockchain, the intermediaries are going to be taken away. There may not be a need for lawyers, real estate agents, anything of this nature, because blockchain will allow the transparency and the sort of structure to allow this to take place without these intermediaries and cut costs, reduce time. So I'm saying 5 to 10 years. Let's hope.
Awesome. Tory, thank you very much for taking the time. Great to chat as always. Connor, thank you for stepping in. Looking forward to the next panel on sports and culture.
Great, guys. Thanks for having me.